Good morning. So, I'm walking the dogs again. I don't know. It feels like that it's so much easier to get these videos out when I'm walking the dogs. So I'm going to do that. So what I wanted to talk about this morning, oops, sorry, my shoes aren't tied, is, is I want to talk about suffering, like pain and suffering, and the unpopular concept that we actually co-create this, and we are part of the problem as we are part of the solution, which isn't a common thing that people want to hear. They want to put everything like outwards, externally, like I didn't create that. Or like in a relationship, I'll give an example to give this context. Like in a relationship, we're having problems because he does this. Like, for example, say he drinks too much. Okay, so that seems like a problem on the outside, that it's the other person has to change or things just aren't going to work out, right? But so this is what I woke up with this morning, was actually you co-create it. Because if you stay in a situation where someone continually chooses to not look at their situation, meaning situation like that where they know they're drinking, they've said they don't want to drink, but they keep choosing to drink and say not go to, like outside help or something, then when you stay in that situation, you're co-creating. But why does that happen? Or what are you talking about, Denise? So, okay. So, for example, say someone, when they were growing up, they were always had the belief, because this is what we grew up with, limiting beliefs, that they always had the belief that they weren't good enough or that they're a disappointment. Okay? Now, say you're in a relationship, because relationships is where all the triggers and where all the gold comes out of what you need to heal internally inside yourself. So now you're in this relationship and you feel like the person that's drinking feels like, I'm just a disappointment to you. Well, that's bringing up the childhood wounding and healing. Oops, sorry, my dog's, I guess she wants to go to the bathroom. That you need to heal. So it's actually bringing up things. So we co-create with people in relationships to bring up the unhealed that we can't see. But then the other person, say like me, a female, that sees this pattern happening over and over and over again, and it doesn't change, but then you still stay in the situation. Why is it that you're staying in a situation? The other person is co-creating it because they need to bring up the lower vibe of disappointment. So for me, it's like I had to bring up the vibration of not conditional love, like not conditionally loving someone, or me, because how can you expect conditional love, like unconditional love, because you're getting conditional love? How can you expect unconditional love if you're not unconditionally loving yourself first? So the big aha this morning is you have to give yourself first what you're seeking in others. And if you can't do that, you're trying to create your joy and your happiness and your bliss through someone, something externally. And that's never going to work, because you can't control other people. You can love them as much as you want and love them to death and hope and pray that they change. But at the end of the day, they aren't going to change until they're ready to change. So what that's doing is that can be bringing you down, creating your suffering, which is what this whole video is about, is how you co-create and participate in creating your own suffering. And honestly, it sucks, but then it's like, like a huge revelation, like, holy crap, I have the power to control, and I hate using the word control, but my suffering. Because what happens is we are wired to accept or to want peace, okay? But our wiring is that we will accept or chase like what the known. We chase the known. So it's like we want to have this peace, but we will go for the pain because it's familiar. So anything familiar to us, which is the chaos, like for me, from early childhood was unconditional love, and for like someone else might be a disappointment, even though it's toxic, it's familiar, and our brain is an organ that runs off of familiarity. Is that a word? Familiarity. And why does it do that? Because we are a species that conserves energy. So we are wired to stay in the familiar, even if it's fucking toxic, okay? Because it feels less pressure in the moment. But in the long term, what happens? You keep suffering because you keep creating that loop over and over and over again, right? So in order to stop that dance and stop that loop, somebody has to change. And that somebody, most of the time, because you're the most conscious person, if you're even listening to this video still, you're on the verge of awakening, and you're more conscious than you're not conscious, than unconscious. So the person that has to change is the more conscious person. And that at first is frightening because we want the familiar. And the familiar pattern of childhood of always being the disappointment or not being good enough or not having, we're going on a big road here, guys, so hold on, I've got to watch my dogs, of not being good enough and having love that was conditional throughout your life and not unconditional. That's the familiar pattern. Sucks, right? But once you learn this pattern and you evolve and you grow, and it might cause a lot of pain at first. I'll let my little one out. It might cause a lot of pain at first, but that's okay, because this whole game, and I say that in loose words, this whole game on life is to evolve your consciousness, because how you create your reality is through energy. It's your vibration, it's your frequency. And if you keep staying in suffering in those toxic patterns, what is your vibration looking like? It's going down to what I call survival mode. It's the shame, regret, disappointment, anger, frustration, rage. And how many times do you get knocked back down into those lower emotions when someone on the outside of you doesn't act in a way that you expect? Your expectations of others, the way they act, is creating your own suffering. That's crazy, right? So we co-create this and we create our own suffering. So what do? You know? Well, you take the choice that's freaking uncomfortable as F, because you don't know what's on the other side of that choice. And that, my friends, is what most people don't do. They stay in the toxic loop, okay? That's co-created. It's not like one person's toxic, the other person isn't, because you're doing this dance together and someone has to step out of the loop. And if they want to grow together, then it's a beautiful thing. The relationship flourishes. But if one person isn't ready to grow, you can't love someone into growth. This is what I've learned by several relationships that have had the same energetic imprint, which is those lower vibrations, those emotions. So to step into survival, which is joy, peace, love, and to have that, you have to feel the fear and step into the unknown, the unfamiliarity, and get out of that like familiar chaos. Okay? Okay. So this was a little bit more of a rant, but I want you guys to see my puppies. And it's a beautiful morning out. And I think I might do some more morning ones because, like I said, I'm going through that manifestation program, which is really helping me a lot. It's creating some deep thinking. And I also hired a therapist. So my second session is today. So I'm just going to share everything I'm learning with you guys because I've been like since forever, decades trying to figure this crap out. And all of a sudden, for some reason, this month, everything's like bing, bing, bang. Like everything's popping and I'm really getting it. So I want you guys to heal along with me. All right. Have a great day. Bye.